The type EZAs are here. But who should you grab with your hard-earned blue coins? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video, and here in just about 15 hours, we will be getting the Type EZA support banners, where you will be able to summon for roughly 30 to 60 stones, depending on how many multis you want to do on each banner, and get a guaranteed Type EZA support unit. But many of you probably will not be wasting your stones on these banners, as good as some of these units are. Instead, you may be considering using your blue coins to pick up these characters. So we're going to go over in this video kind of my priority list of characters you should pick up with blue coins. Now, first and foremost, the thing we need to get out of the way is understanding that with your blue coins, these are coins that are not gained very often throughout Dokkan. In fact, there's only a few type of banners that give out blue coins. So if we actually head over here to the summon coin shop, you can see that the only banners currently on Global or JP that give out blue coins are either the type support banners, Super Dragon Ball Heroes, or the available category banners that come with every celebration. So for example, right, if we look at the celebration on Global here, did we? Oh, actually, we may not. I don't think we got a category banner for this one, did we? Let's look through here. Maybe we didn't. Oh, we didn't. Probably because these guys are coming. But normally we get a category banner that you can summon on for 90 stones and get a guaranteed featured like banner support unit. So those are pretty much the only way to get blue coins here in Dokkan as it currently stands. So you probably don't have a whole lot lying around. Heck, even me, I've only got about 600 blue coins. So the question is, who should you prioritize given the limited amount that you have? Well, first we have to note that each one costs about 300, right? So for my example, if I wanted to grab one or two, I could only grab two with my 600. So let's hop in. The very first unit I think you should prioritize, I think you guys all know this one, the Pan GT. She is so good in what she does post EZA. You give her a little bit of full dodge investment, and she makes an excellent support unit. Now, be aware that at 55%, if this is the first time you're picking her up, that may not be a 55% dodge, not going to be the greatest, but to compensate, she does have guard for 4 turns. So if you can float her off and just kind of protect her, she'll do what she needs to do for the 2 turns that she can remain on, and that's really all she needs to do, right? Because what this girl is doing is raising allies' attack and defense for 30% for 2 turns. Everything else on her passive is the same. Like all of the support units have the same passive, so I'm not going to spend time reiterating what that passive is, right? It's that they have all the exact same passive, right? What differentiates them is their super attack effects, and Pan's happens to be one of the best. 30% attack and defense support on the SA effect is one of the most powerful skills in the game. Obviously, we have some that have, like 50% or more, but 30% lasts for 2 turns. That is huge because that means that support carries over into the next turn. That means you do not have to run her slot 1 like you normally would to get this effect for a rotation. You can use her to set up the next rotation to gain that extra 30% support, and it only makes them that much powerful. Like when the calculation is done for a unit when it comes to adding in support on the SA effect ends up being a lot more than your standard support on through the passive, right? Like if you compare what Pan is doing to Bulma, who is also giving 2-turn support, but through the passive, Pan's ends up being more, despite being 8% less. So it's actually really, really powerful character. And if you had to pick one above all the rest to use these 300 coins, Pan would be the choice. She's just that good, right? Even at 55%, even in some of the scary 9th anniversary content. I know some people have that looming in your heads, but you could still make use of her there. Obviously, she's going to need protected, but the teams you would be running her on, protection exists, right? There are target skills now in the 9th anniversary meta that make her having to deal with a hit almost completely a non-issue. And the best thing about her support, while she is giving 60% attack and defense to AGL types, which there are some really powerful AGL types on some of her teams, like UI Goku on Goku's family, for example. Her 30% is not relegated to the type. It's for all allies. So that is what makes her so good. Now, if you had to consider a secondary type, maybe you have the Pan, or maybe that just doesn't interest you. Maybe you hate Pan, maybe you don't need the support. Well, there is one other unit I think also stands above the crowd, and it's not necessarily because of who he is, but it's what he's doing for the teams that he's on, and that is the Super Saiyan Kappa. And the reason I say this is because, well, he is raising his own attack and defense for 9 turns. Again, we're not going to spend too much time going over this part of the passive because it's the same for all the units, which means he can get relatively tanky as a floating support, enough to hold his own, but it's the specific typing of his type support. His 60% support is to STR types, and he's also a Universe 6 character. Universe 6 is one of the categories that is in dire need of some help, and it just on global, we have the advantage of having Super Saiyan to Kefla's EZA. Transforming Kefla's EZA gets a huge buff. If you thought she hit like a truck before, wait till you see her with 60% support from Kappa on rotation. You are talking about a true force of nature, and it's insane to watch what she can do, right? We will definitely be picking up Kappa to do some shenanigans with Kefla. Like, he's that good. And again, he's got enough here on a super attack effect to get him rolling as, a floating support unit, which is what they're doing now. There is one other unit. So if you have Kappa, or Universe 6 isn't anything, if you have Pan in that, maybe she's not your thing, then there is one other character, right? And that is simply because the teams he's on need the help so much, and he's one of the few viable options for the team, right? His greatly raised attack and defense is enough to allow him to kind of stick around a bit. It's being that he can get, attack and defense on orb pickup like all the others. The greatly raise for 1 turn ends up being more than enough. But again, for him, it's the fact that he is a GT bosses character. The character is the category is in dire need of help, and it's the closest thing we're gonna get to help, probably for a good time. I feel like him being AGL support type also means he's giving 60% attack and defense support to Omega Shenron, who is also AGL. He's also a good Big Bad Bosses unit for him. As after all, GT bosses, the big struggle there is keeping Omega's Big Bad Bosses up. So having a character like Rildo who can keep that up makes that very, very helpful. Oh, wait, he doesn't have Big Bad Bosses. Never mind. Either way, the 60% support is still really, really helpful. just because the team needs that help, and Omega basically carries the team anyways, so any addition you can get to buffing him to make him carry that team harder is help. I wouldn't prioritize him over Pan or Kaba, but I would say he should be a priority over the others, simply because he's far more of a necessity for his team than any of the other characters. So I would just throw that out there. Now, some honorable mentions, if you wanted to pick them up, are the Hit, also because, you know, Universe 6 support, and there's quite a few good STR types that could use his support as well. And then the Kid Gohan. Kid Gohan I recommend as an honorable mention here, simply for the same reason that I recommend Kefla. Kaba, who supports Kefla. On JP, they have a new EZA, the EZA Int Gotenks. Both share a hybrid Sans with this category for the Gohan. So I would, this Gohan being Int ends up supporting him really good. And this dude is an attack and defense stacker for 9 turns, meaning he will be able to support himself in some of this harder content along with his orb pickups. So giving a 60% attack and defense to Gotenks, who is on the level of Kefla, is really, really helpful. It'll be able to allow him to hit some higher peaks than he already is. So I want to throw those guys out there as honorable mention. Now, like we've done before with coin videos, there's always some considerations you need to have. Remember, these only come around sporadically. The last time these guys showed up was 2 years ago with the Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Kid Buu campaign. We haven't seen them since, and who knows when we will see them now. So just understand that if you're going to make a decision, you gotta make it quick, because they will not be around for long. Secondly, the other thing you have to consider, if you are a big Dragon Ball Heroes supporter, right, you may want to consider that this coming year, we're going to have a good batch added to the coin shop. Not to say that any of the previous years are bad, right? Like, even next year, right, with this batch, the previous batch is still going to be probably pretty good. The Super Saiyan 4 Vegito is really, really good. If you were missing him, he will be available for coins now in November. Dark Mask King, really, really good Heroes unit, will be available for 300 coins at in November this year. Same goes for the Tech Broly or the Intoa. All really, really good options for the Heroes teams. And if you were missing any of them, this will be your opportunity to pick them up. Because the thing about Heroes is, once they move off of the featured banners, you can only pull them unfeatured, and it becomes increasingly difficult the more years that this goes on. To give an example, I always go pretty deep on Heroes. I got Vegito to 90% on the first banner I pulled for him, and I haven't been able to pick up another copy of him since. So it can be rough, just so you guys know. So I wanted to throw that out there as a consideration, that if you are missing some, you may not be able to pick them up until a while from now, and that Heroes may sway your decision. So guys, that is it for our video. That is my recommendation on the type support characters you should pick up with blue coins if you have them. Pan is my #1 recommendation, followed by Kaba, and then Rildo. Hit, if you got them, if you got the use for them, can be helpful as an honorable mention. Same goes for the Int Kid Gohan. No one else here, not to say that any of them are bad, but they're not going to be doing much for too many of their teams that would necessitate them being there over, say, like a Pan or the necessity of Rildo on GT bosses. So just wanted to throw all of that out there for your consideration. I'm doing this video now because, once those type EZA supports hit, we're going to be rocking those videos, and I may not have time to do this later in the week. So I wanted to get this out now. So guys, that is it for the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let me know if you're going to use coins on these. Who are you grabbing? I will probably do a multi on the AGL banner, and and the STR banner, and then I will probably grab a copy of whichever I don't end up getting from one of those 2 banners. I'm not going to be chasing too many of these guys, as there are heroes units for me in the future. So guys, that's it for the video. If nothing else, thanks for watching, and aloha.